In the darkness of the wilderness, there are creatures that lurk and roam. Creatures that are said to possess the ability to shapeshift into any animal they desire. These creatures are known as Skinwalkers, and they are feared by many who live near the Native American reservations where they are said to dwell. Legend has it that Skinwalkers are powerful witches or shamans who have turned to dark magic in order to gain their shape-shifting powers. Some say they are unstoppable, while others claim that they can be warded off with certain herbs and charms. But one thing is for certain. Encountering a Skinwalker in the wild can be a truly terrifying experience, one that can haunt a person for a lifetime. Jake trudged through the underbrush, the heavy backpack weighing down on his shoulders. He had been hiking for hours, and his feet were sore and blistered. But he couldn't stop now. He needed to clear his head, to escape from the constant stress and anxiety of his job. "Come on, Jake," he muttered to himself. "You can do this. Just a little further." As he pushed deeper into the forest, Jake felt his thoughts begin to slow down. The worries that had been plaguing him for months were starting to fade away, replaced by a sense of calm and tranquility. "This is what I needed," he thought, as he set up his tent and built a fire. Just some time alone in nature. As he sat by the fire, staring up at the stars, Jake felt a sense of peace wash over him. He had always felt more at home in the wilderness than in the city, and being out here was reminding him of that fact. "I should have done this a long time ago," he said to himself, as he cooked up some dinner over the fire. "Just disconnected from everything, and reconnected with myself after." Jake shook his head. He couldn't think about it again. It is why he was doing this fucking hike, to just forget. He closes his eyes and takes a sip of the burning substance and felt the whiskey soften his head full of pain, trying to block out the screams that still echoed in his head. "You messed up, Jake," he whispered to himself. "You messed up, big times." The memory of that night was still fresh in his mind. The party had been wild, the drinks flowing freely, and then, in a moment of stupidity, he had made a decision that would change everything. He had never meant for anyone to get hurt, but in his drunken state, he had let his guard down, and now he was paying the price. As he sat there by the fire, the images of that night played out in his mind like a movie. He could hear the screams of the girl he had hurt, could feel the weight of his guilt crushing down on him. Jake's mind flashed back to that night. He had been driving drunk, swerving down the road, when he hit something. He slammed on the brakes, heart racing as he stumbled out of the car, and then he saw her, lying crumpled on the ground. The guilt and horror hit him like a ton of bricks, and he knew he had to get out of there before anyone found him. But now, years later, the screams were back. At first, Jake thought it was just his mind playing tricks on him. He had been drinking, after all. But as the screams grew louder, he realized they were real. He stumbled through the woods, trying to follow the sound. Jake's heart was pounding in his chest as he stumbled through the woods. But as he got closer to the source of the screaming, something felt off. He saw a shadow moving through the trees, but it wasn't the girl he had hit. The figure stood on two legs, with glowing white eyes that seemed to stare right through him. Jake tried to back away, but he stumbled over a tree root and fell to the ground. The creature approached him slowly, and Jake could feel its hot breath on his face. He tried to scream, but no sound came out. Years passed, and the memory of Jake faded from the minds of most. But some say that if you listen carefully on certain nights, you can still hear his screams echoing through the trees. The legend of the Skinwalker remains a mystery to this day. Some say it's just a myth, a story told around the campfire to scare children. But for those who have encountered it, they know the truth. Jake was not the only victim of the Skinwalker, and he wouldn't be the last. Others have reported hearing screams in the woods, seeing glowing eyes in the darkness, and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. The Skinwalker may be a creature of legend, but for those who have crossed